Good evening. My name is Tracy Resvani, and I am here from the Office of Consumer Protection. One of the main goals of our agency is to help consumers and merchants resolve disputes. To that end, we handle consumer complaints that are filed with our office, and we have investigators who are assigned these matters and are able to review the facts and the law and help the parties come to a resolution. Unlike other dispute resolution programs, we also have enforcement authority, which means that if there's been a violation of the law, we can also then handle this through enforcement work with fines and criminal prosecutions. We also provide licensing and registration for many of the businesses that you deal with on an everyday basis. For example, if your car is being repaired, they should be registered by us. If someone comes into your home to repair your refrigerator or your dishwasher, they should be registered with us. New home builders are licensed by us, and secondhand personal property dealers are also licensed by us. And if you should unfortunately be towed, hopefully they have been registered by our office as well. We have an investigator on duty program whose sole function is to answer consumer and merchant inquiries dealing with the county and sometimes the state and federal consumer laws. Ordinarily, we would have walk-in hours from 8 to 5, and we also have live call-in available to our main phone number. However, due to the pandemic and social distancing, our investigation group is working remotely. And at the end of the program, you will have an email address where you can direct any question you may have for our office. Today's program is about internet safety and identity theft. So some quick facts. According to a Javelin study of 2019 identity fraud, 14.4 million consumers were victims of such fraud in 2018, with a total loss of $3.4 billion. The 2019 report also showed that just over 500,000 of these victims were victims of familiar identity theft. The thief was someone close to them, a family member or perhaps a caregiver. So what is identity theft? Identity theft is when someone uses your name or your personal information to obtain goods or services without your permission. It's essentially the opposite of a power of attorney. The information is usually your name and address. Credit card or bank account numbers are awfully important. Your social security number is the most valuable thing to an identity thief. With that, it is the keys to your financial kingdom. More and more medical insurance account numbers, Medicare account numbers, those can also be sold on the black market. So other than financial account crimes, which we are all unfortunately have probably been a victim of, medical ID fraud is also a problem. If someone is using your medical insurance or your Medicare ID and getting services in your name, it is creating a health record that doesn't match your health statistics and could eventually lead to the inability to get insurance, possibly to get jobs, etc. Also, improper use of government benefits is a crime in and of itself. And we do hear instances of identity theft being used as a means of evading the law by giving a false name so that the warrant is going out in your name instead of their name. Who and where? Where are all this information out there? Well, you are willingly giving your information out at the doctor's office, at the pharmacy, to your school, your jobs. You go to restaurants and you want to get reward points and get coupons for your anniversary or for your birthday. Grocery stores, you want to get the rewards accounts and you give information. You have to be aware that whenever you give out information, you have to ask yourself, do they really need this? So for the restaurant, all you really need is to get a coupon for your anniversary. So they don't need to know exactly when in the month of April your anniversary is, or even what year you were married in. You can make anything up. If you want to get birthday bucks, pick a month that your birthday is in, but don't give them the actual date. Doctor's offices, as a matter of habit, will ask for your social security number. They don't need it any longer in order for them to be able to process insurance claims. So whenever you are willingly and knowingly handing information over, ask yourself, do I need that? Do they need that? But what about places where you don't even know you're giving away your information? For example, tracking consumers as they walk through the store, and so they may be grabbing your facial recognition. For facial recognition purposes, they're grabbing your face. They may be watching your shopping habits. Online, your cookies are probably tracking everything you do. And if you ever look at something to shop and you don't buy it, it'll end up in ads. So there's a lot of places you are unknowingly also handing over information about you. Today, we're going to be primarily focusing on phishing, smishing, and hacking. So phishing is when folks are phishing for your information, but they are phony, they are fake, and they are only pretending to be your bank or your retail, your favorite retail store, etc. Smishing is SMS, that's your texting, and where they're phishing for information through your text software. So in those two instances, the criminals are relying on you to give them access through your email or through your texting. Hacking is when the system is misused in order to steal the data. The material is taken without your permission. Some could say that phishing and smishing, you're not necessarily giving them permission, but you are giving them access, and that's the big difference. So how do you deter identity theft? Shred documents. Anything that comes in that has your information, and whether it's junk mail that comes in with free offers for credit cards, whether you're dealing with old tax records, anything that could be used to identify you by identity thieves, you should shred. You should also make sure that all of your personal information is protected. And that is mainly through your affirmative conduct in making sure that you're not giving out personal data. You may not be able to control how hackers are accessing third-party data, but you can control how you are handing out your own data. So unsolicited emails are huge as a way of getting access, and that's really where the phishing comes in. All of those links, all of those attachments, those are all traps for the unwary. And a lot of times it'll look exactly like it's coming from your bank. And you will have to hover over the sender's email address to see what kind of sender it really is. And if you are a follower of our Instagram page, you will see that I do post a lot of phishing emails to get folks a sense of what they look like. Passphrases, that is probably your best way of going about protecting your online and digitized data. Now, notice I said passphrases. That is way better than a password because it's longer, and if you can include symbols and numbers, even better. You want to make sure the passphrase cannot be guessed at. So if you are a prize-winning botanist known for your roses, I love roses would not be the right passphrase to use. So you want to pick a passphrase that has nothing to do with you, and then you can replace A's with the @ signs, S with $signs, O's with zeros, and mix up the passphrases with numbers and symbols, and it makes it that much more secure. So how do you know if you've been a victim of identity theft? Well, being alert is number one. You want to review your bills. A lot of times, small charges will go on your credit card to see if you notice before the big ones hit. So you want to make sure that you're reviewing your bills. Are you all of a sudden getting account statements for accounts you don't know anything about? Or in one instance, we've heard about how mail has gone missing. So if your account statements stop coming, or if your mail stops coming, it may be diverted by identity thieves. If you are getting denied for credit or insurance or jobs based on your credit, and you believe your credit is better than that, that might be a sign that something is going on. It's really important to inspect your credit report annually. And the big three you know about: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. However, there's two that are starting to grow in importance. Innovis is one that was primarily used by landlords and other niche industries, but it's being used more and more. Innovis doesn't provide a credit score, but it does collect credit data. NCTUE, which is the National Consumer Telecommunication and Utilities Exchange, is one that is used by, as the name implies, the telecommunication companies and the utilities. And why they become important is we've seen an uptick in the identity theft and creation of accounts at telecom stores like Sprint or Verizon or T-Mobile. And even if you are putting a freeze on your credit with the big three, if you don't put a freeze on with NCTUE, it may very well cause them to be able to open that account in your name. Oh, I'm sorry, let's go back real quick. So you can go to annualcreditreport.com and pull an omnibus credit report. However, and that's your free credit report for the year. However, if you want to really be aggressive with it, you can go to one of the 5 once every 2 or 3 months and just spare it out that way. The FTC at their identity theft page that I've got listed has some really good information for you to do some more research if you'd like. So how do you defend? Say the horrible has happened and you have either been a victim of identity theft or you want to make sure that it doesn't happen. So fraud alerts, credit freezes, and credit locks. Fraud alerts were alerts that you could place that would cause a creditor to do some additional verification before credit is issued. It used to be for 90 days, but by federal law, it's been extended to a year. Credit freezes is just what it implies. Your credit is frozen. No one can use it, including you. The big difference between a credit freeze and a fraud alert is just that. And the fraud alert, the credit can still be opened after additional verification steps. A credit freeze, nothing can. It used to be $5, and then the state of Maryland made it free and made it so that you could put a freeze on your minor children and any adults that you would have guardianship over. The federal government has extended the free credit freeze option nationwide. The credit lock is a newer product. So the credit freeze gave you a PIN, and if you wanted to unfreeze it, you would contact the credit reporting agency, giving them the PIN, and in about 2 or 3 days, your credit would be unfrozen. So if you need to go out and get a car or rent a new home, you could turn it off and on that way. Credit lock is a product that has been created by the banks, and it's essentially like an app, and you can, if you want, swipe it right, swipe it locked, swipe it unlocked, back and forth to your heart's content. The big difference between a credit freeze and credit lock is that the credit freeze has federal law behind it. and the credit lock has only a contract behind it. So read the fine print if you're looking at credit locks, and make sure that there's some teeth behind the product's failure to actually lock down your credit. So if you are a victim of identity theft in one account, you want to make sure you're also contacting the security or fraud departments of other accounts to let them know so that it doesn't propagate across all of your accounts. If you are a victim, you can also file for a police report, and this may help you defend against debt collection or other issues down the road. You can, in Maryland, you can also apply for a restriction on your driver's license if you have been a victim of identity theft. Like glasses, it'll be a code on the back of your license, and that way, folks, if you get pulled over or the police officer is handed a driver's license and it has that code, they'll make sure that that is actually you and not someone else. We've had a report of a family member forever using a sibling's identity every time she was pulled over, and so getting that restriction code was useful. But if you are worried about issues of that nature, you can get that kind of a restriction code in Maryland. Identity theft, in addition to getting that police report for your own needs down the road, you should also report it to the Federal Trade Commission and to the FBI. The Federal Trade Commission definitely keeps track of these trends and works with other agencies as possible to try and find a way of curbing perhaps an avenue or a loophole that was not known. The FBI might actually be able to find the person and get you some of the money back.
Hi, Tracy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't stopped. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. We have one question. Somebody would like to know, do you do credit locks and freezes with the bank or with one of the products?
Okay, so the credit freezes and the credit locks are with the credit reporting agencies. And this particular slide that I have up talks a bit more about the differences side by side, which might help. But this is all through the credit reporting agencies. And the big difference is a fraud alert and the credit freeze. You have protections as a consumer that if you put an alert or a freeze in place and things still go wrong, you have rights. The credit lock is just a creature of contract. And where a credit freeze is free, a credit lock, I believe, a last number I heard was $20 a month. So you're paying a lot of money for the ability to lock and unlock your credit at will. And at the end of the day, the fine print in the contract might give you no rights if the lock doesn't work. So it really requires a lot of research to choose the credit lock product over the credit freeze. I'm not saying it's not a good product. I'm just saying that it lacks the same protections as a credit freeze. Are there any other questions?
Nope, not right now. Thank you.
Sure. So how can we stay safe online? You want to make sure you're backing up your data on a secure platform. And as I'm sure everyone has heard, you know, Dropbox was a huge cloud storage, and they've been hacked. Gmail, I believe, or Google was hacked at one point. So where do you save your data? You can do it in an external hard drive. They're not that expensive. You can try to save them on thumb drives, but you know, you better not lose that. And they're very small. And if they are destroyed in some respect, then you do lose your data. So it's really important to do the research to make sure that you're dealing with a good, secure cloud storage provider if you're going through the cloud, or if you're buying hardware, then you need to make sure that you're investigating the options. Consumer Reports is a really good source of comparison shopping if anyone's looking. I know that when it comes to hardware, I personally, and this is not an endorsement by the county in any measure, but I personally go to CNET, which is a really good review site. You want to make sure your operating system on all of your computers are up to date. And you have to remember that your cell phone is a computer as much as your tablet and your laptop and your tower. They all have secure, you want to make sure they all have an updated operating system software. If you're shopping, you want to look for that HTTPS with a little, sometimes green, sometimes gold color. And it basically says that your interactions with that website is encrypted, that it's secure in the sense that no one is going to be able to hack into the website during the pendency of your transaction and steal it. It doesn't mean that the website is honest or legitimate. And that's a really key distinction. It just means that if you're communicating with a website run by scammers, that your information is only being stolen by the scammers and not by anybody else. In shopping online, this is something that I don't know if most folks think about, but you want to make sure that if you have access to a credit card, that you use that. Many are using what I call these hybrid cards. It used to be that you had an ATM card and you could only get money out of the ATM machine, maybe at the grocery store or pharmacy. And then the Visa or MasterCard logo was attached to these debit cards. And so now you can use your bank account like you could a credit card and be able to shop and buy things and have the money come directly out of your account. I see Ms. Kelly's got her hands raised.
We do have one more question.
Sure.
Is OneDrive secure for storage? And what about Apple's iCloud?
Okay. Well, so a few years ago, and this again, this is not a statement by the county or the Office of Consumer Protection. This is Tracy's statement. A few years ago in a court document, Google took the position that it is like your secretary and therefore has a right to read everything that you put in your email, which in theory would include Google Drive. So this was their position so that they could better market to you and bring you services. I don't know if they're still doing that. So definitely you want to do your research between Google Drive or Dropbox or iCloud. You want to see how they're rated. And that's when I mentioned Consumer Reports is probably a great place to do your research about current information. This lawsuit was from about 5 years ago. What was was there a second question?
Just about Apple's iCloud storage.
Okay. All right. So credit versus debit cards. So when you're shopping online and you're using these, for lack of a better word, these hybrid cards, it's convenient for you because the money's coming right out of your account. However, if that website is hacked or it's a criminal enterprise to begin with, now they have access to your entire bank account and can wipe it out. However, if it was your credit card, it's essentially debt on your account until it's able to be wiped off. But if it's something that has happened and you're using one of these hybrid cards, the money's out of your account. So you're not paying bills, you're not able to buy anything else until the money comes back. And that's the big difference in online internet safety and shopping, is if you have a credit card, that's probably the best way to go for safety. If you don't have a credit card, there's a lot of these prepaid cards which they have fees associated with them to even turn them on, but once they're on, you can load them and be a little more secure in your online shopping. but I always talk about the difference between a real credit card and these hybrid cards. We've already talked about using these complicated passwords, but it bears repeating that they are passphrases that is being recommended these days.
Tracy, we have somebody who can't use the chat, so I'm going to unmute him so he can ask a question.
Sure. Go ahead. The sound isn't coming through for me.
Yeah, I can't hear it either. Yes, Miss Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, did you want to say something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and ask the question, Ms. Kelly.
Okay, my husband is sitting here. He's the one who wanted to ask a question and couldn't, so he'll ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah, the question is that which system is better, downloading your data yourself or going to cloud?
Right. We talked a little bit about that just a little bit earlier. I think it's a very individual issue because everyone has different kinds of information that they're storing, and so having a cloud setup that automatically syncs may be great for someone who is handling a lot of data on a daily basis. But if you are a casual user of digitized data, then maybe you want something that's more of a manual approach. So it's kind of hard to answer that question, across the board, because I really do think it is based on your individual data use, for lack of a better word.
Is the cloud data totally safe?
It depends. So that's one of the things we talked about being really useful is researching it. And so making sure that you're asking questions about encryption, about security, and how many levels of security. Multi-factor authentication, which is something we haven't talked about yet. You want to make sure you set that up in addition to passphrases in whatever system they offer it, because that's like a second line of defense. So even if someone is able to guess at your passphrase, if it requires you to click on a button or enter in a number that's getting texted to you, then that just makes your information that much safer. So it's really, really important to do the research to see, how it's rated for safety, what the users are saying, what professionals that are reviewing these cloud storage facilities are saying, and finding one that makes sense. Some of these data storage is really just that, storage. It's meant for you to put things in and leave it there. And some of them are way more interactive so that you can manipulate it on a regular basis. You can access it more often, and it becomes more of like a network drive than storage. So you also have to look to see what kind of user interface it has and whether that works for your needs.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. So we talked a little bit about not clicking on links in emails. One of the things you should know is if there is a hack of the email system, the person's contacts will also be stolen. And so you may end up getting emails from people that but attaching things like, hey, look at this great picture. And you may accidentally end up downloading malware and not even realize that it wasn't an email coming from your best friend or your sister or your brother. So if something about that email seems out of the ordinary, whether the language is off, whether it's it seems that there's just something that doesn't sound right. You don't want to click on attachments. You don't want to open. They can be hiding in pictures. These viruses or malware. They can be in picture attachments and PDFs. The website itself, it may open up and look like a normal website, but it itself could have malware and viruses loaded in. And be very, very wary of downloading any free software unless it's a trusted site. So don't just download from anywhere. Do your research and make sure the website is trustworthy. Chain letters, you don't get chain letters much anymore, but you may get some junk emails that obviously have that. Or they may, some of these games give away clues to your passphrases. If you are on Facebook, you've probably seen that game that says, you know, how many of these questions can you guess about me? And it'll be like, what is my favorite color? What street was I raised on? What was my first dog's name? Those are all, you know, great guessing games, but Facebook games are all not always fun and games. Those questions are really aimed at eliciting possible clues to your passphrases or your passwords. So avoid these online games, especially the ones that want to take your picture to show what you would look like if you were, you know, a Maharaja or the, you know, King of Spain, or what did you look like as a baby, or what would you look like if you were, you know, 100? That's capturing your face. And so now you've given your face to a third party whose security you don't know about. And so you always want to be aware what information you're sharing and who are you sharing it with. And this is probably the greatest thing. When you're dealing with online scams, you have to trust your instinct. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you're being told, wait, pause, this isn't right. Listen to that voice, because these guys are always trying to get to your heart and not to your mind. So give yourself a chance to trust your instinct, because if something appears to be too good to be true, it probably is. Those banner ads and pop-up windows, if you have a pop-up blocker, you're not going to get the pop-ups. So make sure you're turning on your pop-up blocker on your browsers. Banner ads can sometimes be disguised as content. And so you may accidentally click on it, and you may end up with all sorts of things buried in them. So be very careful what you click on when you're on a particular page. Peer-to-peer systems, they're becoming much more useful these days. A lot of the stores are starting to take it. A lot of merchants, online merchants are starting to take it. So how safe are these? Now, this ranking came from Consumer Reports, and the safety was rated based on the amount of data that was stored by the app. And this is key. It doesn't mean that Apple Pay is more secure than Zelle. It just means that Apple Pay has significantly less information on you to lose. Zelle, which is connected to a lot of the banks, obviously have a wealth of information on you. They have your address, your social security number, your bank account number. They have a lot more information on you. Venmo is interesting, and I put the little caret next to it, because if you don't turn it off, there's a feature that allows every transaction that you make with it to get automatically shared on social media. So you want to research the apps if you're looking to use them, and you want to avoid the ones that have bad reviews. You want to read the fine print, even though it will be mind-numbing, because there will be hidden fees possibly in there. And you also want to make sure that there isn't anything that is that doesn't work for your needs in the fine print. Let's just leave it broad like that.
And Tracy, we have a question. Someone would like to know, what about PayPal?
PayPal is the granddaddy of all of these peer-to-peer payment systems, and Consumer Reports didn't rate it for some reason, and I'm not sure why. PayPal has an interesting feature, which if you don't have it, you should ask for it. They will send you a fob, which may now be an app feature, like a separate app on your phone, I don't know. But I have it so that any transaction that goes through PayPal, I have to enter a 6-digit code that this fob will automatically generate. And no transactions can go through PayPal without that fob. So I put that fob in the safe so that no one has access to it. So in my mind, at least, having that fob and in keeping it as secure as I am, means that it would take some serious effort to be able to hack the PayPal one. Or didn't rate them. I heard some voices in the background. I wasn't sure if there was a verbal question. Or maybe
the fob. What exactly is the fob?
The fob is like this little plastic, it looks like a keychain fob. It's just like this little plastic oval item, and it's got like a digitized screen, and you press the button and it'll give you a 6-digit code, and you enter it in. It's a one-time use code. So the next time you want to use PayPal, you have to press that button again, get a different code and enter it in. Some banks are offering those kinds of security fobs in order to access bank accounts. I used to have one on my business account way back when. So if you are interested in these, this is another form of multi-factor authentication that I mentioned earlier. It's just that it's something you hold in your hand rather than a code that gets texted to you or something you have to press on a Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator app. But those apps are out there that, depending on what your product you have, you may be able to connect your apps to those Authenticator apps by Google and Microsoft.
Thank you.
Moving on to today. So COVID-19 and the census. How does everything we've learned and talked about today, how does that fit into what's happening today? So the website across the top is where we are storing a lot of information that is consumer oriented. If you want to know what's happening to my health club membership, you can go there. If you want to know how do I deal with travel cancellations, you can find information there. If there is anything dealing with finances, utilities, mortgage, chances are we've got a link that'll take you to the information that you need. And that page changes almost daily. And if there's information that isn't there that's dealing with a consumer issue, please reach out to us. I'll find it, I'll link it up there. So how is the pandemic an opportunity for the bad guys? Well, the emails that are coming will be emails allegedly from World Health Organization, Johns Hopkins, maybe other hospitals, and they are going to be claiming to provide you information about hotspots and current virus information, etc. If you have not subscribed to any kind of newsletter like that, don't click on anything that comes with these emails. You're going to get emails touting fake vaccines, fake cures, or fake prevention. So what are we talking about as far as fake prevention and fake cures? The Federal Trade Commission has already gone after a lot of companies that are pitching unapproved silver cures, whether it's drinkable silver or silver that's in toothpaste. Between the FTC and attorney generals, silver as a mechanism to kill the coronavirus is being shut down at every front. Prevention. We hear about websites that claim to have masks, gloves, face shields, gowns, whatever you're looking for, and they'll take your money and they'll never ship it. These are products that are in such a high demand. As you can hear in the news, the government is having trouble getting them. If people are just reaching out to you blindly to offer it to you and not to the hospitals or to the government, then you have to think, is this legitimate, or are they just trying to get my money? The stimulus check is going to be a major issue. There are already calls and emails going out there asking you to do a pre-test to see if you qualify. Well, the pre-test is going to take all sorts of information from you and probably add a virus or malware onto your computer. So the stimulus check, the IRS is taking care of it. There's definitely a litmus test that they know about. It has to be people who paid taxes in 2019, and then, you know, have they been claimed on someone else's taxes? Do they make more or less than a certain amount? They know all that information. The check will come to you. You don't have to do anything if you qualify. The same kinds of information are also coming through texts. So smishing is still happening on text. And phone scams. Phone scams are huge, and I'm going to try and play you some of these videos. So hopefully this works. So let's give it a try. So this one is insurance. Can everyone see that? Hopefully. So this is a typical insurance message.
Time so that you can get a great insurance plan that's within your budget. We offer policies from top-tier providers that are best ranked in the country for health insurance, such as Cigna and Blue Cross Blue Shield. To hear more about the PPO policies we offer, please press 2 now to get a free consultation, 9 for a callback, and to be placed on our Do Not Call list permanently, please call our toll-free number 844-989-1702. And press 1 when prompted, or press 1 now to be taken off this call list. Time.
Never press 1. I can't stress that enough. Pressing 1 will definitely get you into their system as someone who should get more calls. Here, the stimulus check, you're going to get phone scams on that. Charities. There's a lot of folks out there posing as charities to help people who have been impacted by the scam, and also for vaccines and testing. The Maryland Secretary of State registers all charities, so make sure the charity is there. And you can also go to Charity Navigator or give.org or GuideStar and research the charity and make sure that that is an actual charity. Free tests. These are, here's another.
Response Act has made coronavirus testing more accessible immediately. If you want to receive a free testing kit delivered overnight to your home, press 1. If you do not want your free testing, press 2.
So as before, definitely you don't want to press anything. Is the screen looking smaller to you, Danielle? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Not really sure how to make it larger, but
It looks like it might be out of full screen mode because I can see the web address at the top.
yeah, and I don't know what to do with that. I am going to briefly stop sharing and you'll get to see me again, and then I will reshare. How's that? Let's try that. Hello, everybody. All right. Let's see. There's got to be a way of optimizing this. I don't. You have any idea which button I need to push? Oh, criminy. There we go. Perfect.
And Tracy, we do have a question. Someone would like to know if they should put block callers on your iPhone.
Okay, so the one thing about phone scams, and by the way, I'm doing another program later this month for the virtual branch for the libraries that will go into significantly more detail about phone scams, door-to-door scams, and online and other scams. So definitely join us for the April 22nd program to get more. But as far as the block callers, it doesn't really do you any good, mainly because the number that is showing up on your caller ID is not the number that's actually making the call. Your caller ID lies to you, and that's my boss's favorite line, and it's true. The caller is calling you from South Asia, the Caribbean, Eastern Europe, and over the internet, they can make their phone number look like it's coming from next door. So if you are blocking numbers, you're blocking numbers of your neighbors, strangers, etc. So it doesn't really do anything. The best thing you can do is to not answer the phone, let it go to voicemail. Whether you have an answering machine or your voicemail, have them act as your guard. Let them, if they leave a message, then you have time to think about whether that's a legitimate caller or not. But the more you pick up, the more they know that that's a real phone number, because these computers are just randomly calling numbers they're generating. They don't know if it belongs to a human or if it's unassigned. So if you pick up, they know that that's a real number, and then it goes into a different bucket. So it's just really important to just let the machine pick it up, and eventually it becomes not as useful. So I hope that answered the question. Okay, so be very, very careful about anything that you see dealing with cures or vaccine or prevention. The other prevention items that I wanted to talk about are what you're seeing a lot of, and if you haven't, you will, dealing with air purification or water purification. So WSSC has put out an alert that you don't need a water filter. The water is clean, there's no virus in it, and that's not a mode of transmission. And yet that doesn't stop a lot of scammers from trying to sell you very expensive water filters. And the air filter companies, they're getting into it, whether they're dealing with pure air purifiers or getting fancy and talking about, you know, UV or other forms of cleansing of the air for viruses. At least the air purifying companies in New York were hit with a cease and desist order by the New York AG for making false claims that it has any impact on the coronavirus. So be very wary about hearing ads that there's something that can prevent it. This whole thing is really about washing your hands, not touching your face, and just socially distancing each other. It's not gonna, there's no magic, there's no mints, there's no salt, no essential oils, no herbs. We've even seen cannabis claimed as a cure for the coronavirus. So there's a lot of unnecessary products that are being sold out there, and you should just definitely be very, very wary. When it comes to the census, first of all, you should know that given this particular pandemic, the timeline is obviously going to be impacted. So it's very important that everyone take 5 minutes, and that's literally all it took for me to do the census when it came in the mail. They'll give you, you get the one letter that says the census is coming, and in a separate document, you're going to get a code to enter in on the website. It takes 5 minutes, but it's really, really important because it determines how much money and resources come to the state and therefore to the county. It determines what kind of infrastructure is provided to county residents. And it also helps in determining congressional representation, amongst many other things. So the census is very important. When you're dealing with things like the census, obviously that becomes a ripe opportunity for scams. The biggest one in the lead up to the census was job scams. When you did a search for census jobs, the first 3 hits were not to the census website. There was a lot of companies out there that were asking for an application fee, or providing these interview filtering processes, which that's not something the Census Bureau was involved in at all. This was just an opportunity by these companies to get money and information. So if you are interested in the census jobs, there may still be positions open, and you should go to the census website. We have a newsletter on the census and how to differentiate the census from the American Community Survey, which is significantly more extensive, as well as the current population survey. All 3 are happening at the same time. So there's a lot of confusion out there as to what is what. The American Community Survey asks a lot more questions than just a 5-minute process. It wants to know a lot of details about everyday life. The current population survey is not a one-shot survey. It is something that lasts for quite a number of months, and that is something done in conjunction with the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the point of that is to determine employment rates. And so, like I said, it's not a one-shot deal. If you're chosen to be in the CPS, you're basically polled 4 months, and then you're out for 8 months, and then you're returned to the survey for 4 months. And the point of that is to see if folks are continuing to be employed. The American Community Survey and the census are mandatory under the law. The census is in our Constitution, so it's very, very mandatory. The current population survey is optional, but very, very important for future needs. So other than job scams, what are the other things that you're going to be dealing with if you're dealing with the census or the American Community Survey or the current population survey? Identity theft and phishing, right? That is going to be the greatest source of problems. So that if you end up with a fake access point, you're going to be handing over information to the wrong person. And so, as I was mentioning, we have a newsletter on our website, montgomerycountymd.gov/OCP. And if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see the beginning of that page. And if you go under media, there's a newsletter button, and you can see that there. And so we have a lot more information about the 3 different surveys that are happening and what kinds of resources are available for you to verify that what you're holding in your hands is actually legitimate, including what addresses should come from and what numbers you can call to ask the questions. So montgomerycountymd.gov/OCP, and then click on media and then OCP newsletters, and it's there. So identity theft and phishing is huge. The census does not ask for social security numbers. It does not ask for bank accounts or credit card numbers or personal information like your mother's maiden name, or it doesn't ask for money or donations. Those are big red flags that you're dealing with scammers. The census, as well as the ACS and the CPS, do have census workers going door to door. And this becomes ripe for door-to-door scams. The census folks have an ID that identifies them with a watermark, and they have to be able to show that to you to show that they are a legitimate census employee. And they're only going to come out to say, did you get the letter? Do you need me to get it for you? Have you turned it in? They're not going to be there taking the questions at the door, because this is getting, the census is happening online this year to make it that much simpler for folks. Whether the census takers are going to be coming door to door during COVID is another question, and that remains to be seen. And hopefully that they'll be able to stay safe. There's going to be a lot of rumors out there and a lot of false information. What needs to be clear is that the census counts residents. It doesn't count citizens. So it doesn't matter what your nationality is or what your status is. They just want to know how many people are residing in that location. Non-citizens can be hired for certain jobs if you're looking for census jobs. Answers cannot be shared with law enforcement. Like I said, this census is happening online, but you have to be very, very wary of any emails that claim to be from the Census Bureau. There is no Department of Home Affairs, and so be careful if you get anything like that. And if you do end up with a census taker, you definitely want to make sure that you are checking their ID very closely. But again, if you can go to our website, we've got pictures and a lot more detail about the census, the American Community Survey, and the current population survey. And if you look at the bottom of the page, you'll see that the Montgomery County has a census page as well for more information. Any questions on the census and related surveys?
You were hearing?
And you have received verification already that they have received it, and somebody comes at your door and asks for the same information. So what are your options?
Well, you can say, I've already done the census, and you have the number that once you do the census, it gives you a, I forget what it's called. It's like a number that they give you that is like a 8 or 10 digit number. Which
I already have.
Okay, great. So if someone does show up at your door and they say, oh, I'm here to see why you haven't turned in the survey, you just show them and say, I already done, here's my number. And if they start to get pushy, no, that's not right, it didn't work, you got to do it again, that's why I'm here. Government officials are not going to be pushy at your door, especially if it's something dealing with the census. As I mentioned on the April 22nd program, we talk about how to spot a door-to-door scam, and being pushy at the door is a big red flag. So if showing that number to them doesn't make them go away, then just say, thank you, have a nice day, and close the door, because they may not be from the census.
Is it prudent to share the number with them?
The number doesn't really mean anything. It's just it's like when you go shopping and you get some kind of randomly generated number that says that's you. I don't think that it goes back to the census if to your particular entry. I think what you can say is, I have a number that shows that I've taken it. I will call the census and confirm this. Thank you for coming by. That might be the safest way to go, because I'm not really sure what that number is correlating to and whether them seeing it would be a good or a bad idea. So you can just say, I've got an approval code or approval number that it's in the system, and I will contact the census at the number that I have. And that's a big key when it comes to scams. They want to give you a number for you to call. Always call the number that you have and say, I had someone at my door. They claimed you didn't have my census answers. I have a number. Can you please confirm?
Okay.
All right.
I thought I might have to report the incidents to some.
Yeah, so if it turns out that the person says, oh no, we didn't send anyone to your house, oh no, we have it, then that call by itself becomes a report. The newsletter that I mentioned has an email address that you can report scams or hoaxes or rumors to. And there was one that was going around a couple weeks ago that census takers, people posing as census takers, were robbing homes, which was a complete hoax. But it had gotten, it had really made the rounds. And so the police had to end up intervening and telling folks, we have no reports of robberies or burglaries by, you know, scam census takers. So if you come across any rumors or hoaxes, there's definitely a place to report them because they want to know.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on COVID scams or census scams?
But you're saying that OCP is not mandatory or not required.
The current population survey is voluntary, but it really does help shape the country's labor statistics and unemployment rate. And with that comes a lot of responses that can come from federal or state government to folks in the county. The American Community Survey and the census is absolutely mandatory. And that's why they continue to come back to you again and again and again, because you have to answer it. Ah, my favorite quote. As a young child, my mother told me I can be anyone I want to be. Turns out this is called identity theft. I love that joke. At the bottom, you can see our inbox for any questions that you may have. During non-pandemic times, we have an investigator on duty every day to take your phone calls, or if you wanted to walk in without an appointment to ask any kind of consumer question you could possibly have. These investigators are available, and they're consumer specialists. So they know the county consumer laws. They know a fair amount of federal and state law as well. So we've had consumers come by with piles of paperwork to go through, and again, no appointment is needed. However, given the social distancing, we are doing the investigator on duty program by email. And that's the email address that you can use to email consumer questions of any kind. And someone will answer you in a few hours, unless it's a late night email. So we are very diligent about making sure these emails are answered. So if you have any questions about this program, about consumer rights, about a transaction, you know, can they do that? We get a lot of questions along the, can they really do that variety? That's definitely where you want to send the questions to. Take some time to go on our website. We have a lot of good resources out there. And if I may, I can, do we have time? How long does this program go till 7:45?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay, well, I will take you on a sojourn of our website so that you can see all that there is to see. So, okay, so this is our website, And on the top of every page, you to the consumer resources page that I mentioned. And as you can see, it has all kinds of information. This is where, as you can see on this area right here, this is where I've listed all the coronavirus scams that we have to date. The county's main COVID response page. Daily alerts I'll put on Twitter and Facebook, and I just put the Twitter page up here. And all of the governor's orders that has anything to do with a consumer transaction is here. You can see the Maryland Attorney General alerts. You can see our alerts, court orders dealing with evictions and foreclosure, the price gouging bill the Assembly passed. And here's some of the bills, including this is the CARE Act that just went into place. These are all federal resources available for loan modifications, credit reporting, forbearances, airline cancellations, etc., and any kind of banking needs you have. So that's our consumer resource and coronavirus page. Going back to our homepage, this is where you can subscribe to our newsletters on this little red button. Here's our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. YouTube, you have hours of consumer videos that you can watch on our YouTube page. So definitely subscribe to us. Here is where it says file a complaint, where you can file your complaints online and upload documents. Our A to Z library is where you can research on a lot of issues. So if you want to read more about what we've talked about today, we have identity theft, phishing and farming, and privacy conversations here. Sales and marketing, we'll talk about false advertising, door-to-door sales, also relevant to today's conversation. So you can spend, again, a lot of time becoming a more proactive consumer in this library. And then our recent scams and alerts, this is the COVID scams that I had mentioned. So you can read up a little bit more about it here. And then these are our programs coming up. And this is the one that I mentioned we'll be doing later this month, if you'd like to add it on to your calendar. But if you have any questions of even besides the topic of the PowerPoint, I'm happy to answer them.
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I think it was a very good presentation. Thanks very much.
All righty, and I'm going to stop the share. And thank you for being with me, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you have any questions that come to you later, feel free to send us an email and we will get back in touch with you.